Again, thank you everyone for joining. You're in the right space if you're looking for the People's Social Impact Conference, Day 3. Today we have a wonderful panel, as always, but when we're talking about credit unions, that touches a special place in my heart since I bank with 3 of them. And we are going to be talking about credit unions and community impact in Canada. But just before we get started, a bit of housekeeping. And just before we begin, we always like to begin all things by acknowledging the original stewards of the various lands we are on. We also acknowledge our ancestors. We acknowledge all those who toiled without compassion or compensation. We acknowledge all the elders and community stalwarts whose shoulders we still stand on as we build, share, and learn together for our collective liberation and sovereignty. My name is Ryan Knight, one of the co-founders of the Afro-Caribbean Business Network and one of the board members of SETC, the social economy through social inclusion, who presents to you Day 3 of the People's Social Impact Conference. And again, I'm truly honored to be here with our panel, Susan Henry from Alterna Savings, Liz Arkansas from Libro Credit Union, and Maureen Young from Coast Capital. But I'll go one by one so that you can tell us a bit about your background. And I'll start with you, Susan, if you wanted to give us about the work that you do.
Sure. First, I want to say thank you to SETC, the team, and Victor for his leadership for the work that they're doing and bringing this conference to light in terms of the social economy. When I look at the array of topics in the forum, it's just remarkable. So first, thank you to the leaders of this. It's one of the best I've seen so far. So again, my thanks. I'm Susan Henry, Director of Community Impact and Financial Inclusion with Alterna Savings Credit Union. For those of you who may not be familiar with Alterna, we've been good in banking for over 115 years, so we've been around since 1908. We are a full-service member-owned cooperative financial institution outside of Quebec, and Alterna shares its expertise with more than 210,000 members and a network of over 40 branches across Ontario. In my role, I lead our Community Impact Department, which focuses on 3 pillars, our Community Financial Resiliency Program, our Community Microfinance Program, our Community Financial Education Program, and donations. Pleasure to be here.
Wonderful to have you. And Liz, I'll go to you next. Tell us a bit about your background and the work that you do with
Sure.
Libro.
Yeah, thank you. And yes, I was had the pleasure of joining a panel yesterday, and the lineup of content is really great. So yes, thanks to SETC. I'm Liz Arkansas, Purpose Integration Manager, and I'm leading kind of our efforts to embed our purpose beyond profit in everything that we do. And so currently I'm working on, we're developing a new strategy. So we have refreshed our purpose statement. So we'll be developing kind of our purpose goals around that. And I'm also working on our ESG and how our environmental governance goals and plans help to bring our purpose to life. And so a big part of what I've been doing recently is on our climate change efforts, but also community impact falls under our group as well as diversity, equity, and inclusion. And so quite a number of things that we're working on, but and we're kind of at a pivotal moment right now with a new strategy ready to roll out later this year. So we're going to be kind of realigning our community investment in support of some of those tweaks that we've made around our purpose and our vision.
Love that, and really appreciate you being here. And I'll go to Maureen next to give us a bit of background on the work that you're doing with Coast Capital.
Yeah, good morning, everybody. Great here. Thank you so much for inviting me. My name is Maureen, and I'm the Vice President of Social Purpose at Coast Capital. And we are a B-based federal credit union. Our headquarters are in Surrey, British Columbia. We have about 45 branches, 600,000 members approximately, and about 1,800 employees. We are a B Corp, and if I look a little tired, because I've been knee deep in the B Corp Champions Retreat all week. So it's been such a fantastic event of purpose-led businesses. So super inspiring. So we're a B Corp since 2018. We adopted a social purpose in 2020. And so that's been a fantastic evolution for our organization, and really allowing us to look at how we can drive impact in a much greater way than we had previously. We've been very involved in our communities for many, many years. We contribute 10% of our budgeted bottom line back into the communities we serve, and we actually hit 100 million invested in communities in 2023 since the year 2000. So a big milestone for us, which we're feeling really excited about. We're also a signatory to the Net Zero Banking Alliance, which means that we've committed to reach net zero, not only through our operational emissions, but through our financed emissions by the year 2050 or sooner. So like Liz, we are knee deep in figuring out how to make that happen, and understanding our missions and starting to think through some of the strategies that we'll need to be employing. So the philanthropy, our social purpose work, our climate action would all be areas that fit in my portfolio.
Excellent. And I appreciate you giving that context. So Liz, I'll go to you next to also add to the context of the work you do with Libro, because as a leader in this credit union ecosystem, what does community investment and inclusion look like to you?
Yeah, you know, when I was thinking about the conversation today, I think, you know, and talking to a couple people in my team, often we think about community impact as those things that are highly visible, community investment type things. And so I really would say we kind of break down how we see our impact on community coaching that we provide. So as a purpose-driven organization whose goal is to strengthen the financial well-being of our owners and our communities, we're really, you know, trying to continuously hone and tweak how we're offering that advice and that coaching. That's one aspect of you know, how we are able to strengthen that financial well-being piece, is to provide that. And so we also think about our role as an employer, as a living wage employer, as having a presence in our community, so bricks and mortar as well as technology. So we see our impact on community being physical as well as, you know, kind of that broader community piece as well. We've got over 800 employees. We're also based in Ontario as well, and as a living wage employer, both paying our staff a living wage, but also supporting that movement. So they're a partner that we've worked with over a number of years to try to encourage others to start paying a living wage as well. And then, of course, our presence and investment in the communities as well are critical. And what we've been trying to do over the past number of years is really aligning our community investment to our goals around diversity, equity, and inclusion, to our goals around climate, and also to our overall purpose as an organization. So really moving from philanthropy to kind of these much more kind of mutually beneficial partnerships that we work with organizations to try to get at root cause issues. And so I noted, you know, currently we have 4 pillars that we work on, and we're revisiting those. And since that time that we had determined those 4 pillars, we really think there's opportunity for us to be more inclusive and more purposeful in who and how we try to partner with. And so we're really just starting on that journey, but that's a big piece of it as well.
Love that. And Susan, I'll round out this question with you as well to give us a bit more context on the work that you do with Alterna, and what does community investment and inclusion look like to you as a leader in this space that's been engaged in it for, I won't date you, so I'll just let you talk about your experience in it.
You can definitely bring me on that age thing, but I would say really when I think about community investment inclusion, particularly from our community impact pillars, I mean, a huge element of community investment and inclusion is really ensuring that underserved and underrepresented groups have access to our financial systems, because this really can lead to financial well-being and resiliency. And when I envision our financial systems and structures, it should include a wide range of appropriate and affordable financial products and services for all, and particularly those who are economically poor and socially marginalized. I really believe that we have the ability and the responsibility to come to our practice of work in the financial system to create real tools and solutions that can address these types of economic gaps for those who are excluded from our financial systems. And so it's really important that we look to improve the lives of our community members and to ensure that our profits have a higher purpose. And I know that's what we do as credit unions within the system. So if I was to look particularly at Alterna, we focus on how we are enhancing the well-being of our community through access to financing and financial education. And a few examples of these is really how do we improve access to affordable housing through partnerships with our co-op housing and affordable housing partners? How do we create meaningful employment through starting and expanding businesses through our community microfinance program? And how do we provide financial education to strengthen the financial capacity of our members and communities through our community financial education? And also, community investment and inclusion should not be done in silo with financial institutions or financial systems. It has to be in collaboration with communities. That's an integral part of any work, is understanding the communities you're working with. So we have close ties to the communities and local organizations that share the same values and goals of strengthening and empowering individuals in our communities.
Wonderful. And if I can stay with you just for a sec, because I would love for you to dig a bit deeper into, you mentioned financial inclusion, but based on your experience, what actionable insights have you gained over those years of your important work?
I think the most important actionable insights is, again, I go back to how do we actively engage with underserved groups? I believe you cannot address social, financial, and economic exclusion without addressing how it impacts the communities that you're aiming to help, and and understanding what are the needs of the communities. So I think based on that, for us, we focus our work again on making an impact on the lives of the individuals in the communities that we're serving. We also look at helping community organizations continue with their important work by ensuring that we're offering tailored products and services to support the unique needs of their sector. And again, strengthening the financial resiliency and capacity and independence of individuals and of the organizations that we are working with. So I think that the work we've done through our programs can also be applied to other facets of community financial development, because I think we have to look further into things like asset development, improving access to affordable housing and home ownership within our communities. Sorry, I'm a little bit out of breath because I have a cold. And I think that we need to understand that investing in underserved communities is good for business and good for economy. It's not charitable work. It's a long-term solution that helps to build sustainable communities. And for financial institutions, it also is a win-win, meaning that when you invest in these communities, that you are also becoming more profitable as well.
Excellent.
I'm going to go off screen for a little bit.
Oh, no worries. Yes. And Maureen, I'll come to you just as we're talking about the years that you've been in this work. When you talk about financial inclusion, what has been some actionable insights you've gained as well with your important work?
Thank you. Well, it's been quite an interesting journey for me at Coast. I've been with the organization for quite a long time, coming up to 22 years. And before that, had worked in community, actually in the nonprofit sector, in community economic development, various roles, and had a really great opportunity to be able to bring some of that experience into the work at Coast. But what I've seen is sort of the evolution of our organization from, as Susan mentioned, perhaps more of a traditional philanthropic approach, which was great and served us well for those years, but really isn't enough anymore. And so the last 3 years, this shift to embracing a social purpose where we're really looking to drive impact across the entire organization. So through our products and services, through our practices as an employer, the learning programs that we have, the benefits, the pay, the living wage, et cetera, et cetera. So, really looking at how we can be a little bit more thoughtful and intentional about the impact that we want to make. And it's, I would double down on some of the comments that have been made around, the real challenging circumstances that people are facing, the rising cost of living, the rising debt levels, the stagnation of incomes, and the widening income inequality that we are seeing. And that was really at the root of our desire to get fairly focused on where we wanted to make a difference, which was to help people unlock financial opportunities and improve their earning potential. And we saw the real need for people to have more focused support on managing their financial debt and their responsibilities, and maximizing or leveraging the financial education that's available, but then also supporting them around trying to improve their earning potential, because just managing your commitments is not enough. Like, it's not about budgeting better when the cost of living is so high, right? You do actually need to start looking at how you can help people grow their income. So that is where we've been really focused on spending our time, is thinking about how can we make that happen. But one thing I would say specifically about financial inclusion is that it really is about building trust and relationships. Mm-hmm. And so, for us, we are looking to engage with our members differently. Shifting, I think, when you're in the branch and people are coming in and they're wanting to, transact, we're trying to help move to more of advice. And that starts with a conversation. It starts with supporting them to really think through their financial health. So we've got a financial assessment sort of module that we go through with our members to help them understand, what are their goals, how are they feeling, from a confidence perspective around their finances, and where might we be able to help them. And that's really been important. And then in the spring, we're actually going to be launching our first survey of our members to understand their financial resilience. And we're hoping we can use the insights from that survey to really start to think about, okay, where are those moments where we can help them address some of the barriers or some of the challenges that we're having. So it's much more relationship based, rather than just, oh, sure, we can help.
Wonderful. And I appreciate kind of giving the deep dive of how you're shifting, how you engage with your, not your clients, but your members. But also with Liz, would love to get your feedback on actionable insights that you've gained over the years of your important work as well.
Yeah, what I thought I might do is just share some of the some examples of some collaborations that we've made that I think really kind of bridge a community investment perspective, as well as in service of that purpose to support the strengthening of financial well-being. And so maybe if I just provide a couple of examples. And so In the fall of last year, we worked with the Financial Wellness Lab that's hosted at Western University, which is here in London, to better understand the financial resilience in the context of household finances and money management. So specifically, we're testing a few hypotheses with them and examining whether Libro owners that utilize, we have a money management app called Yuli, whether people that use that money management app actually demonstrate a stronger propensity for financial resilience. To, you know, we have these tools and these things that we think are helping people, and so really testing out, is that actually a tool that is useful and that we can literally say, if you use this, you are more likely to be resilient. We know 80% of Canadians right now are not what we would call financially resilient. So how can we play a stronger role in that? And it'll help inform actions to continue supporting owners, you know. And then for the lab that's doing this work, they are also looking to develop quantitative data analytics solutions to enable Canadian households to improve their financial resilience. So we gave them access to the you know, the kind of day-to-day data that they were looking to be able to do their work, and then that's going to also give us some insight as to whether one of the specific tools we have is doing what we hope it intended to do. Another example, I think that's worth noting, and I think we're trying to do more here, and we're just kind of scratching the surface, but there was a recent partnership announced a couple of weeks ago supporting Liftoff's Black Entrepreneur Program. It's an initiative by the Caribbean Canadian Association in Waterloo. Yes, and it's aimed at empowering the Black community in Canada. And so our support will be used specifically for the creation of some micro grants for those individuals for product development, purchase inventories, tools, equipment, etc. And so I think speaking to that inclusion piece, and so how are we, you know, really starting to tackle, whether it's through products and services or through partnerships, being able to provide opportunities. And so that's an exciting one that we're looking to continue furthering on.
And we're big fans of Trevor and their work out there.
Yes, yes. This is, I think this is new for us, so we're just getting into that relationship. Another one that I think is near and dear to me, and I think sometimes I forget to even talk about it, is an Each One Teach One program. So it was originally developed by a credit union out west, Vancity, and it's now managed by the Canadian Credit Union Association. So what it does is trains employees of Canadian credit unions to deliver financial education. It's in plain language. There are no ties to products and services. We are not wearing Libro shirts. It's volunteer driven. It's outside of your time. And we do know that, you know, with the pressures people are feeling, information and guidance is just one piece of the puzzle to be able to navigate and improve your financial resilience. But really kind of just meeting people in community, whether it's virtual, whether it's in person, and just really very information that we're not taught, you know. And so last year alone, I think we trained our staff again, and there was 40 sessions with over 400 people attending. And so we haven't really been able to dig into the impact beyond kind of just knowing the outcomes of how many people have benefited from it. But it's also been, interestingly, a very, very high staff engagement piece. And so staff love it. We have some trainers that, you know, it is their part-time, full-time job outside of work. And so that's something that we really want to ensure we're continuing on with as well. So those are just a couple of examples of things we have on the go.
Oh, really appreciate that. And gonna definitely be following along as those programs develop. And with Susan, I'd love to come back to you, because I know we work closely with Alterna's help with us setting up the ACBN microloan program. So when supporting business owners and entrepreneurs, what would be one important piece of advice you can provide to this ecosystem to support the entrepreneurs that we're working with?
We know that, you know, Canadian business owners and entrepreneurs, that, you know, they're making important contribution to our Canadian economy. But as you know, Ryan, you know, when you're starting and funding a business, starting and growing your business, that funding is still limited. And we see that particularly in underserved groups such as women, BIPOC communities, racialized and new Canadians, and low-income individuals. But, you know, I'm pleased to see that funding is becoming more available in these areas. And I think now we have to look beyond the immediate capital need for the business for their day-to-day operations. And we have to think about more tools for the business owners so that they can achieve long-term financial success. And, you know, this is something that Liz Maureen touched upon on the financial resiliency piece, because success for business owners is not just about their business, but it's about them as individual as well. You know, in my time in this sector, you know, I see a lot of small business owners who are not set up for retirement or home ownership. They simply don't have the financial solutions readily available, you know, when they're ready to buy a home or to retire. So, you know, I think we've got to pay more attention there. And so for us at Alterna, we are continue to look for new ways to work with the communities and organizations and the government to find strategies that's going to help and improve inclusive access to financing and help to, again, build that wealth and alleviate the poverty in underserved communities. But we know also that there's more that needs to be done. And that's why, in addition to offering lending products and advice, that we are investing in more wraparound support in the entrepreneurial community, you know, by helping to develop essential tools that support entrepreneurs and scale in their businesses. So, you know, we do this through quite a few. We have webinar series, we have sales training, investment plans for the small business owners. And I think, you know, for us, we are committed to continuing to seek out opportunities, again, to work with these underserved and underrepresented entrepreneurs so that we can see wealth creation in the communities where they're in.
Excellent. And Maureen, I would love to kind of go to you as well. I know, Liz, you had touched on some of the collaborations that you're already working on, but Maureen, I would love to hear more about maybe collaborations that exist or initiatives that you'd love to see that would amplify your work.
Yeah, thank you. Well, I mentioned earlier our deep desire to help people improve their earning potential. And so there's a few different ways that we're going about that and very much leaning into collaborations to make that happen. One is with the Construction Foundation of BC. And so this is a registered Canadian charity that is really working to help the next generation of skilled workers. And through their research, they discovered that so many people who go into the trades stream are not able to succeed and get their Red Seal certification. Like a huge percentage of them, more than 50% who go onto that stream fall off somewhere along the line. And so a bunch of research was undertaken actually through New Brunswick. And through this program, they discovered that a lot of these folks were struggling with the academic portion of their training due to undisclosed learning disabilities. So, you know, they thought if they could find a way to actually support people to identify what the learning disability was. Many of them actually had never had a diagnosis and didn't have any strategies at all for managing their learning disabilities. Support them to get through that academic portion, because once you achieve your Red Seal endorsement, your lifetime earning potential increases significantly, moves you from, you know, a subsistence wage to, you know, being able to thrive. So we, in conversation with the Construction Foundation, thought, well, what would happen if we took that really unique program that had been developed in New Brunswick and we expanded it right across Canada? So we've entered into a $1 million partnership with them. They're building out this program, which is, you know, primarily serving underserved groups, youth at risk, women, newcomers to Canada, people with disabilities, and Indigenous people. So it's a terrific program. We're very excited about it, and really interested to see how that program can be scaled. And most recently, the federal government have also joined as a partner in the program. And I think that's really going to make quite a significant difference in that group. Another one that I would just mention is a recent partnership that we have forged with Coursera. So Coursera is a fellow B Corp. It's an online learning platform. And it's a sort of a subscription-based model. So you pay a certain amount every month, and then you have access to, could be like short form video content, could be micro-credentials, certificate programs, or you can even achieve degrees through the program. We've got about, I don't know, 150 leading universities and institutions like Stanford and Yale, but also Google, you know, so there's some, and Meta are some of the sort of more institutional type that are teaching programs. So we've partnered with them. We're actually going to be introducing this as an offering to our members, which is super exciting. But we've also secured 7,000 plus licenses that we are distributing to equity seeking groups across Canada and nonprofit organizations free of charge. So free access, you can achieve a full professional certificate through this program.
Wow.
And again, the outcomes that they are driving through that program are pretty significant in terms of people, you know, advancing in the job they have, advancing in the career, feeling more confident, achieving new jobs, or, you know, just feeling like they're learning even from the personal development point of view. So those would be a couple of examples of some collaborations that we're undertaking.
Excellent. And is that something that you'll be able to see on the Coast Capital website, or would we have to sign up for the newsletter to find out when it's launching?
Yeah, so it's actually launching, I think, April 2nd. So it's just around the corner. And yeah, you'll see it on our website. It'll be all over the place. So yeah, we've been sitting on this one for a little bit. So we're very excited to finally bring it to life.
Hey, glad to hear that is just around the corner. And Susan, I'll come to you with knowing that community investment.
Brian, before you move to your
yes.
next question, there's just a question in the chat around, are there support services available to entrepreneurs who assist in managing cash flow operation budgets once the business is launched? And I think you also know the answers. There are definitely business resource centers like ACBN and such across the regions that help businesses, you know, with their getting startup in terms of helping them with their cash flows and such, and also at Alterna. So you can definitely reach out to us. We have a business plan and cash flow toolkit that we can help you with on a one-on-one. So, but again, there's resource centers across the regions. And Ryan, I'm sure you have a list of them that you could provide if needed.
Absolutely. And either plugging into the entrepreneur centers across Ontario or the Black entrepreneurship ecosystem, now national. So organizations that support Black entrepreneurs are part of that ecosystem. So we'll definitely put that information in the chat as well. So thank you for the question, Jaswinder. And yeah, as I was gonna ask you, Susan, really, we know community investment is so important, but I'm curious if you can touch on some of the specific programs and services that Alterna has implemented that impacts communities.
Sure. And I'll speak specifically of our community impact department and the work that we do through there and our pillars. So our first pillar is our community financial resiliency program. And this program helps improve the capacity and resilience of the not-for-profit and charitable and cooperative and affordable housing sector to strengthen their financial sustainability. And since 2012, we've contributed over 3.8 million back in support to the affordable housing sector. A lot of that goes into scholarships or to help in reduce the member dues in the co-op housing. We service over 4,600 community members through our resiliency program. And this is through providing financial products. So we have two specific financial products for our nonprofit sector that allows them to get value-based banking back. So it's really good for their finance, helping to strengthen their financial capacity. And as you know, our community microfinance program, and this is around providing access to capital and affordable financial products and services for individuals, entrepreneurs, and organizations. Fun fact, the program has been around since June 2000, and that's the year I started Alterna. And since its inception, we've issued over 1,500 loans totaling almost 10 million. And, when we think about that program, again, we don't work in silo, we work with community organizations. So along with our own in-house program, we work with a number of community loan funds like ACBN, who have their own microloan program, to reach communities who may be a little bit harder to reach and can be reached easily through the community loan funds. And we work with over 6 community loan funds today, along with our own microfinance program. And within our community microfinance program, we recognize that there were opportunities for additional products and services for those members. So we have our micro savings program, which allows a entrepreneur to save a percentage of their loan back into a savings. And as they pay down their loan, they're wrapping up their savings. And we found that that was especially important as entrepreneurs really, again, when we think about financial resiliency, they, they were more focused on their business and not thinking about the savings. So this is a committed savings that they now have. And we have our micro business banking package, which allows us to tailor products specifically to also have our community and financial inclusion granting program. And these programs are strengthened the community sector by providing grants, opportunities to register charities, incorporated nonprofits, and cooperatives. And since 2014, we've granted almost 400,000 within our 2 granting programs. And we have our community financial education program. And these programs are tailored specifically to individual organizations and communities we serve. And just last year, we have over 100 outreach engagements through our community financial education programs.
I love that. And I know, Liz, you had just put in the chat that you did have to jump off. Did you want to give some closing thoughts and maybe a call to action for the audience that is here watching?
Sure. I think, as I think about the work that we're embarking on and what we hope for the credit union system to be supporting, we were on a call yesterday for CETSI and with another credit union, Meridian, also based in Ontario, and we were talking about, using the power of where you put your money. And so we were talking, specifically that was around climate, but just the impact that you can have by investing in your money in a place that is using it for good. And so I think a call to action to those on the call to learn more about credit unions, to learn more about the impact that they're having both socially and environmentally. And to hold us accountable and ask us questions. And so I think, those on the call, keenly interested and connected, and sometimes credit unions, not so much in Western Canada, but in this part of the country are kind of a best kept secret. And so I think just a call out to make sure we all understand what the impact of participating with credit unions can be.
Love that. And yes, I know after this, we're going to try and jump on that Instagram Live to learn more about B Corp. So have a good session.
Thank you.
And Maureen, would love to have you add to kind of this conversation around the programs and services that you're doing with Coast Capital. I know you touched you, but are there any other ones that you've implemented that impact communities?
Yeah, so would definitely say that Coursera is definitely our big push right now, and it's going to be coming in a number of different ways. Community, also to our employees, and it's really important for us that we're giving our employees access to this platform, and to our members. So that one is super exciting for us. We are have just this year launched a new partnership with Windmill Microlending. And so excited to be able to partner with Windmill around microloans for newcomers who are looking to upgrade their skills or re-credential in order to be able to work in their pre-arrival careers here in Canada. Mm-hmm. And we're really looking at partnerships like that as a tremendous opportunity for us to learn from a partner who has been working in the space for a long time, so that we can think about how can we translate that back into the practices that we have at Coast Capital. So we'll be engaged in the investment committee and really taking a lot of those learnings in, and participating also in they have a mentorship program, which is fantastic. So we'll be able to engage our employees to work more directly with Windmill Microlending. We're very, very excited about that opportunity for us to grow and learn along with that organization. They're doing some very, very good things. We have a long commitment to nonprofits in our community. We have a great nonprofit banking package, of course, and really a strong group of advisors who work and support our nonprofit partners as well. And one of the things that we have recently launched is our presenting partnership of the Thriving Nonprofits program. And I don't know if you have heard of this. It's a partnership with Scale Collaborative. And I think there's 5 modules, and the focus is around helping nonprofits to build their financial resiliency, and specifically looking at how to diversify revenue streams. So it's a terrific program. We are going to be providing, I think, up to 20 of our own nonprofit members free access to the program. But it is delivered across Canada and looks at all different kinds of things, whether the types of assets that a nonprofit may have, social enterprises that they could be considering, partnerships, and all the different ways that they could be trying to create more stable and secure revenue models for their organizations to serve them in the long term. So that's a particularly exciting one that we've been involved in the program for a number of years, but this year we're scaling it so that it can be delivered right across the country.
Excellent. And I would love to stay with you just for a sec for calls to action for the audience. Like, are there things that we can do to either support your work or just keep involved and be engaged?
Well, I would say one of the things that we've shifted our model a bit as we've embraced a purpose to really develop sort of deep, visional, longer-term partnerships with, community partners who understand the issues at a much more, much deeper level than we can necessarily from our vantage point. So I would say a call to action is to think about which businesses in your community are interested in actually moving the needle on some of these things, and not necessarily going to them with a program, but going to them just to have a conversation to see, what are you interested in? Where are the gaps and the opportunities? And to start a conversation where you can actually potentially grow something new together to address that gap. I think there is, particularly as more businesses look to become more purposeful in driving impact, there's a lot more opportunity for those kinds of relationships to grow. And then I would echo what Liz said. Credit unions are fabulous. Credit unions are owned by their members. So the profits are not going to shareholders. The profits are being reinvested through programs and services that the organization offers, and then through reinvesting in communities. So really do have a look at your local credit union, because they're doing such great work.
Would love that. And I know, Susan, you and we talk about getting more people into being a member of a credit union. But I did want to, you mentioned you started in this work at about 2000. So what keeps you going? Like, where does the passion come from that? And I know it's not easy. So what keeps you going each day and keeps you excited?
For me, it's also being part of the lived experience, right? Especially when you think about equity and equality and what you want to see for the community. This is part of what I like, what I do, and doing it within the credit union system, as Maureen alluded to. This is not something you normally will get at bigger financial institutions like the banks. We are nimble, we're humble, and we're really community focused. So I've been in the credit union system for as long as this is my 24th year. And this is probably where I will end my career, is in the credit union, because of the work they do and how they give back to communities. So for me, it's really about that. And so, as Maureen mentioned, and I have my own list of call to actions, but the first one will be join a credit union, whether it's Coast Capital or Alterna, put your money where it's going to really make a big difference.
Absolutely. Yes. Finish with the credit union 20 years from now. We got 20 more with you, Susan. But would love to have you go into your closing thoughts and those calls to action for our audience as well.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I think it's all about collaboration and communities. I started speaking about that, and I probably end with it, because the Center for how we collaborate with organizations is about openness, curiosity, and having similar alignments. It's not something we do in silos. So we are always open to new ideas and models. As you know, Ryan, you and I are always sort of brainstorming on, how can we work to improve our communities? So I invite organizations like we do ACBN to sort of reach out and share, where they think there's a need for us to help. What is it that you would love to collaborate on, and can we come together and make that work? Because again, we need those in our communities that have the lived experience and bring it forward, so we can translate that into good financial products and services that will be inclusive for all. And, Maureen mentioned this, but, we are, like she mentioned, in precarious times with our economic and environmental systems. We have high inflation, high interest rates, climate change, they're all playing a factor. So I think this is a time where we must lean in, and as financial systems and structures, we have to offer financial advice and education to our members and communities, which is really important. If you go to the Alterna website, you're going to see an advice column there where you can get some advice, or, we've got our financial planners, everyone readily available, to work with our communities. But we also have to be proactive and be part of the solution in fostering equity and equality, well-being and resiliency. I think this is really important for all of us, and to have top of mind. And so for us at Alterna, these are the reasons when I think about some of our programs, and I didn't go into depth about our granting program, when we pick our representations for the year for 2024, our grants will include causes in affordable and co-op housing, diversity, equity, and inclusion, environmental sustainability, and food insecurity. So right now, our granting program is open. You can go to the Alterna site and go to alterna.ca program and resources. And, you know, you don't have to be a member, but a nonprofit, you would have to be and apply for one of our small community grants in any of those 4 areas. And lastly, I would say that, you know, recently we had 2 blog posts, one which I wrote, which was why intentionality matters in the Black community and empowering women through entrepreneurship, a pathway to inclusive wealth. And these can also be found on our website. But, you know, these blogs, they went into details on recognizing what I would say is the multidimensional nature of racial and gender disparities and the barriers that we still must overcome. And so by taking the time to comprehend the lived experience, and I keep mentioning that, and the intersectionality identities of our members, you know, it helps us to dive into what the challenges are and how we confront those things. So I would just end by saying that I encourage everyone to keep working together, not only providing funding to underserved groups, but you know, looking at the tools, what other tools that we need in this environment that can help to empower and move our communities forward to success.
Wonderful. And again, we really appreciate time, Maureen, and our panelists' time and your remarkable leadership. And as we close out, we always like to close the way we begin our conversations by acknowledging the original stewards of the various lands we are on. We also acknowledge our ancestors. We acknowledge all those who have toiled without compassion or compensation. We acknowledge all the elders and community stalwarts who shoulder stand on, build, share, and learn together for collective liberation and sovereignty. Thank you for being part of this credit union panel. Again, to our audience, we really appreciate your presence. It is not lost on us, you taking time to be here to hear these enlightened conversations. And again, the conversations are going to continue here at the People's Social Impact Conference. We have 2 more, so take a break. We'll be back in about an hour and looking forward to seeing you soon with our next conversation. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Maureen.